Okay, a very good evening to every one of you here. We have Rachel with us. Rachel, Yap. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us. We have Mr. Isai Amudan Krishnan. Thank you so much for joining us as well. And as I speak, if there's any more who are about to join us, again, as we move along, we hope that some of you will join us. For those of who are unable to join us, not a worry, because this event will actually be recorded. It's actually being recorded as I speak now, and we will be posting it in our Facebook. So feel free to go to Perdana University's Facebook and view today's session anytime. All right, the session today is going to be a very, very, very interesting session because I think it's going to help our SPM students for your exam tomorrow. All right, the speaker today, we have Mr. Isai Amudan Krishnan. He's a senior academic in Perdana University in our English department. So he's going to share with you a little bit about SPM writing approaches, the way you write, the way you should address the questions before you. So the session today, if I may say, it's going to be somewhat an informal session. Okay, we're not going to be strict about it. So Rachel, and for the rest of you who join us halfway, please feel free to ask us any questions. You can raise your hands, you can post a message in the chat group, or you can even list down your email and your telephone number. So I'll be more than happy to take it with you on a separate channel. So without any further delay, and I know it's 8 p.m., so I do not want to take too much of your time as well. And yes, good. We also have another student. Yes, thank you. We have Miss Tishan Nadan. Welcome, Tishan. You've just about joined us. So I'm going to pass the session over now to Mr. Isai. So Mr. Isai, all yours.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Hemla. A very good evening to you, the moderator from Perdana University, Rachel, Yap, and Tishan. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, I'm going to have a small sharing session about SPM writing approaches. Actually, as far as I'm concerned, that tomorrow is your exam. And before I go any further, I would like to wish you all the best and good luck. However, you have to stick to certain points that how these writing approaches can be applied in your writing, basically. So I'm pretty sure you are very much familiar with just a moment, familiar with that, what I call with your SPM and the Common European Framework for References of Languages, how it will be evaluated. Your writing will be evaluated based on the scales, the categories, which starts from the proficient user, independent user, and basic user. So again, I believe that you have gone through this, and I'm pretty sure that your teacher have taught you in the school, then you are very much familiar with this. Okay, moving on. Basically, the SPM writing test, which consisted with 1 hour 30 minutes, and together with the 3 parts. Part 1 entails a short communicative message, and part 2 guided writing essay, and the last one is extended writing task. Okay, so your essay will be graded based on CEFR, whether it comes under A2, B1, or B2. Okay, moving on. These are the assessment skills, basically. Okay, when you write an essay, the examiner or the reader will be looking at your content, your communicative achievements, organizations, and language. So here, today, I'm going to talk about how are you going to meet these assessment scales based on the content, communicative achievement, organizations, and language. Okay, moving on. First of all, you must know the contrastive rhetoric, okay, which was introduced by Kaplan in 2005. He introduced the 3 logical construction and arrangement in your essays. Okay, first of all, topic sentence. Second one, supporting ideas, and concluding sentences. Let me give you detailed information about topic sentence. All right, basically, when you write an introduction, you will get the key ideas or keyword from the title or from the topic or from the questions. Probably you could pick up 1 or 2 words and jot down that in your introduction to create a topic sentence or thesis statements. So when you use those keywords in your introduction, the reader would assume that you understand or comprehend the title, and you would able to apply and create a thesis statement in the introduction part. Moving on to the supporting ideas, based on the title or the questions, you could outline the ideas. They call a key idea or point 1, point 2, point 3, and you come out with the supporting ideas. For example, what you will do, you will just making a list. Okay, you just jot down whatever points which is related or pertaining to the title, and then you try to making a list. Once you have done that, and you can cluster them in sense of, okay, these point number 1, point 2 can be categorized on the introduction part, point 3, 4, and 5 can be in paragraph 5, point number 4, 5, 6 can be in paragraph 2. So that's how you arrange your ideas with making a list. And again, the last one, concluding sentences, which basically it's like, I'm pretty sure that most of the teachers would have taught you in the school, like what you have written in the introduction, you can rephrase in the concluding sentences, where you could express your overall expression in that particular essay, or what is your opinion and what is your statement you would like to see towards the end of the essay. Okay, so this is one of the ideas from Kaplan. Probably that would be helpful for you when you write an essay. Moving on to the Redford. Okay, Redford introduce a sentence structures approach. All right, okay, and also related to your essay. All right, where when you write an essay which consists with the introduction, body, and conclusion, right? So in order to write the introduction, body, and conclusion, you must use sentence structures approach. Let me give you an idea what types of sentences you can use. Before that, Redford introduced sentence structures which consist with simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and compound complex sentences. Okay, again, I would like to emphasize here, Redford did not mention that using simple sentences is not wrong grammatically. It is correct. Okay, for example, John is my students, Rachel is my students. So when you combine it, Rachel and Janet are my students. Okay, when you mention that, you use an in between where you combine the ideas. Okay, unless if you want to create a two sentences separately, Rachel is my students and Tishan is my students. It's not wrong. However, in order to portray your language proficiency, what you have to do, you have to use compound or complex sentences, or compound complex sentences, which portrays dependent and independent clauses. Okay, all right. Here, I do have a table later. Probably Ms. Samla will share these slides to you. You can see here, there are 4 types of sentence structures, which is simple, compound, complex, and compound complexes. If you wanted to achieve the communicative achievement, or to impress the readers, or to grab the reader's attention or examiner, I would suggest you to write in a compound or complex sentences, or compound complex sentences, where you express your contended ideas, where you could express your comprehensive thoughts when you write. It means complete sentences with the content meaning. So if you use compound complex sentences, reader not assume, that confirms that you have a very good language proficiency, where you would attain the communicative achievements. Remember, all these based on the assessment skills. Okay, moving on. There is another approach, we call approach number 2, we call a ABCD method, which refers to the language competence, which was introduced by our scholar Scanley in Spain, 1980. Okay, now A stands for accuracy, B stands for brevity, C stands for clarity, and D stands for design. Okay, accuracy, which covers your grammar or some mechanic items like a spelling, punctuation, and all those things. Brevity, where you need to write concisely in a very simple manner and in line with the clarity. When your sentence is clear enough, like a clear crystal, it means the reader has no space to create a questions when mark your paper. So design refers to the format. Probably you need to write. It also depends on what kind of question they ask. Okay, so you have to follow the format accurately. Let's say, for example, if you need to write a formal letter or you need to write an informal letter, it's all depends on the questions, and you must know. And I believe that your teachers have taught this at this moment. Yeah. Okay. All right. So how to apply these ABCD methods in your writing? Let's see what is next. Okay. That's in line with the ABCD method. Okay. Truman has introduced 4 skills. Okay. 4 skills refers to completeness, conciseness, clarity, and concreteness. Completeness means when you write a sentence, again, back to the red thought here, when you want to write a sentence, either you want to use subject or 2 subjects or 2 verbs or 2 objects, all right? It has to be complete what you wanted to say. So that shows that your communication correspondingly, and it shows maturity, where you would able to establish the maturity which associate with all the message which you're going to write in your sentence. Okay, moving on to the second approach is conciseness. Conciseness, which also relates to the brevity, which I mentioned earlier. How do you transmit the information based on a target reader? Okay, and you use different types of word or phrases to establish a precise communications rather than coming out with the meaningless word or phrases. So if you would able to find a suitable words to express or to describe something on that particular monotonous, that is very intelligible, I would say. So that where you as a writer would able to develop your maturity over there. Okay, moving on to the clarity, basically it focuses on how do you convey the message, convey in a content meaning, all right, in a very accurate manner and a tangible manner by using an appropriate word or an appropriate phrase to write your sentence. Okay, the last one they call concreteness. Basically, right, sometimes we read vague essay, so explicit and implicit. So in order to create a favorable impression towards your reader or examiner, concreteness is very important so that the reader may not misunderstand what exactly you wanted to say. Okay, so this is the approach number 3, which is 4C's Trumans Theory. Okay, and moving on to PACO. This is a PACO which was introduced by Seo. All right, P stands for purpose, A audience, C content, and organizations. Okay, let's say, for example, if you write an essay, it's like an argumentative essay, or whether you agree or disagree, or which just comes in the extended writing and so on. All right, first of all, when you read the questions, right, you must understand what is the purpose of writing this. Okay, the second one, to whom am I going to talk about? Who would be the characters involved in this essay? Okay, and the content means, as I mentioned, that the tangible ideas which relates to the topic. So you have to really outline, and towards the end you can organize how you're going to organize your ideas. Okay, this is called PACO method. Okay, and I think I'm almost towards the end of the slides, I guess. Okay, this is the way how you need to apply your PACO method in your writing, where you start with introduction, and you can see the colors are still the same with the key idea 1, 2, and 3. Okay, when you have a key idea 1, what you have to do, you have to explain it. Explain the key idea based on your understanding by using these approaches. Okay, by using either you wanted to use a simple or compound complex sentences and apply those 4Cs, and also you can use that Kaplan's method and ABCD method when you want to explain. Probably it takes about 2 to 3 sentences, and then from the explanation you have to move on to elaboration. You have to elaborate what exactly the key idea relate with your explanation by providing examples, which also shows that the writer is matured enough to know what is so. Okay, all right. And you can also see that in that particular slide, yeah, exactly the PACO 1, key idea 1, 2, and 3 with the same color. It means each paragraph has to be written with the same pattern or probably with the same stamp. Okay, so that a reader or an examiner could judge you that this is a good writer who would able to organize your ideas in appropriate manner, so that the person, the reader, may not have any conflictions or conflict of interest when an examiner read your essay. Okay, all right. So at the same time, you have to observe your word limits. I would suggest for SPM, right? Okay, introduction, do not write more than 30 to 40 words. It has to be in a very simple manner. All right, attract the readers. As I mentioned, the Kaplan's theory, use 1 or 2 words to create a thesis statement in your introduction part, and then choose a logical key idea which could be based on the current imaging trends that shows that you are the person who really update with the current situations. Okay, all right. So when you want to write explanation, elaboration, example, all right, it would be in one paragraph, isn't it? Okay, let's say for example that essay should not be more than 350 words. Okay, your introduction 30 to 40 words, and make sure your conclusion also within 30 to 40 words. So each paragraph here you could write about 90 to 100 words, and paragraph number 2 90 to 100 words, and 90 to 100 words. So what happened? 3 paragraphs, 90 words, 90 times 3, 270, and plus with the introduction and conclusion would be 30 to 40, 30 to 40 would be 60. So within 330. So you still have another 20 words. So what you can do when you read, you try to associate if you think that it is necessary. Otherwise, 330 or 340, it is just nice. Okay, so with that, I would like to say thank you very much for Praveen, Rachel, Tishan, and Farah for joining us. And Miss Hemla, I hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Isai. I know time was too short for you. I'm sure there's so much more that you wanted to share with our students. But at the same time, as I said just now, it's already 8 p.m. and we don't want to take too much of their time. All right, so yeah, we had actually 2 students who actually joined us while you were speaking. There is Tishan joined us halfway through, as well as Harish. So please do not worry if you've missed too much in the beginning part, because this session is being recorded, and after the session we will be posting it live on our SOCMAT on social media, so you can actually go back and view the session. All right, looks like we have a couple of questions, Mr. Isai. Yeah. Are we ready to address?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, we have one question here. Now she's asking, teacher, how to write an impactful conclusion?
Okay, all right. I think this question is asked by Rachel, I guess. Okay, Rachel, yes. Is very simple. I'm pretty sure many teachers have taught you that what you have written in the introduction part, you can rephrase that in the conclusion. Okay, in order to create an impactful conclusion, it also depends on the questions, I would say. Okay, but generally, what did you understand from the questions, and what is your personal opinion towards that particular essay? So you have to stand in your point, giving a stern conclusion. You don't really need to use jargon words or whatever. Just write in a nutshell or in conclusion. Mention what is your personal perception on that particular. At the moment you started writing your own personal, where you indicate that I believe when you use, I believe that itself already created an impactful. So the reader would value your significant perception in your conclusion part. Again, I would like to emphasize this depends on the questions. How do you conclude the entire idea? What is your thoughtful? How would be your comprehensive ideas in order to conclude their essay? I think I have answered your questions.
Okay, so that means, Mr. Isai, can I say that what you're trying to say, that the questions be attempted, the students coming out from within them, so it creates more of a meaning to the answer that they are giving.
Exactly.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, you're right, because I do remember, I mean, when we were sitting for our SPM exam those days, and even other exams, especially when it came to English, now we always felt, or rather I also always felt, that we had to use big English words, all these bombastic words, which probably we didn't quite understand the meaning. So I think that actually put us in a bit of jeopardy or a problem, because what happens, I use those big words in the wrong context. And it actually changed the meaning of my whole sentence. So you are suggesting maybe use simple words.
Yeah, I in line with what you have said it, right? Okay. Some students really intends to use proverbs. Okay. Some proverbs may not suitable. However, you have to line the proverbs in your essay. Probably you can start in the introduction part and so on. So you can use such words like as an English home says blah blah something. So that doesn't mean that you use jargon words or bombastic words. Sometimes jargon words or bombastic words comes from the peculiar vocabulary. Probably the vocabulary may not be suitable within the context. So from the linguistic perspective, I would say you have to use an appropriate vocabulary, simple one where readers can understand. That could be one of the way how you hook the reader in the introduction part. I think, Rachel, you have asked the questions about the conclusion and introduction, right? Try to write as simple as you could. Reader will sit with you. So, right? I'm sorry. Right? We are human. Yes.
Sorry, I think you're addressing the second question for Rachel, how to hook the reader on the introduction.
Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead, Mr. Isai.
Okay, all right. So you see, sometimes I would say we are emotional people. At the moment we started writing, our pen is talking to the paper. So when you are in emotional, you wouldn't know what mistakes you make it over there. So try not to be very emotional when you're writing. Write in a very sensible manner and put yourself into reader's position. There you go.
Okay, that's good. Very meaningful. I wish I had spoken to you before I did my English exams those days.
Okay, you can read it again, no worries.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Rachel. We really appreciate it. I'm sure Mr. Isai appreciates your thank you message as well.
Okay.
Okay, is there any more questions that we have from the rest? Feel free, you can actually type in your messages. You don't necessarily have to voice it out. Okay, so looks like we don't have any more questions for the session today, but I'm sure there'll be many more questions that we post on our Facebook. Oh wait, Mr. Isai, sorry, there's a question here from Tishan. All right, so Tishan, yes, Tishan. So, okay, Tishan is asking, sir, do you have any suggestions of proverbs for essays in general?
Okay. Tishan, I would say there are many proverbs you can use it, okay? And I cannot pinpoint which proverb would be suitable, okay? There are a list of proverbs in English, okay? But I would say, I won't say it's a good idea or not a good idea to use. If you do not know, any proverbs doesn't matter, okay? You're not going to lose any marks. Seriously, I'm telling you, okay? As I said it earlier, if you know proverbs and that proverb is really pertaining to that particular question, you can use it if you know, okay? If you do not know, do not use it. I would like to tell you one thing. When I sat for my SPM English, I did not use any proverbs my English essays, even for my Form 3, Form 5, and also for MUET exam, even for my IELTS exam, okay? All right. But I use proverbs for my Malay Bahasa Melayu, where I use the same proverbs for the Form 3, Form 5, and Form 6. I would like to utter this. Seperti bah kata peta Melayu, melentur buluh biar dari rebungnya. Somehow or other, the questions were related to the proverbs. I try to inline the proverbs with my essay. As I said it, I did not use any proverbs in my English essay. If you know the proverbs and which is reliable to use in your questions, yes, you can use it. At the same time, there are a list of proverbs on a Google you can find out and find the meaning. Yeah, Tishan, I believe I have answered your question, Tishan.
Okay, we have Viyashini who just joined us. So Viyashini, do not worry too much, right? Although we're coming towards the end of the session, and in fact we have Hari Govinda who's also joining us. So do not worry too much. The session is still open. So right now we are actually in the Q&A session. So in terms of the first half of the session, we'll be posting it. It's already been recorded. It'll be posted on our Facebook. So feel free to go after this and view the session. You will really enjoy the session that Mr. Isai has shared. But right now it's a Q&A session. So the floor is still open. So if any one of you have any questions, feel free to ask us, or you can just put it in the chat box, and we'll be more than happy to read out your questions. Right, there's one more question for you, Mr. Isai. Now, looks like the students are not going to let you go off early tonight. Okay, what are the good ways for improving grammar? Poor thing, there's a note from Rachel as well. She said that at times her essays have got some grammatical mistakes. So don't worry too much about that, Rachel. I still make grammar mistakes even until today when I write emails, when I write letters. So what are the good ways for improving grammar, Mr. Isai?
Okay, all right. Let me answer the first question here. And you must understand nobody is perfect. Everybody learns by mistakes. Okay. And I'm pretty sure you have come across this. Practice makes perfect. Okay. All right. Each subject, like for example, Bahasa Melayu has its own grammatical manner. The same goes to English and other languages. Okay. So in order to improve grammar, first thing is you have to expose yourself to the parts of speech. There are 8 parts of speech, which what they call noun, pronouns, conjunctions, adjectives, adverbs, and so on. All this part of speech will inline you or will guide you to how to construct a sentence. For example, here, the cat is sleeping under the table. Okay, in this sentence, there are many parts of speech involved. The first thing is it's definite article, cat, noun, is sleeping, linked with the helping verb. Okay, the cat is sleeping under preposition. Again, you have to use the definite article. The cat is sleeping under the tree. So you use noun. So if you could just really break each word and you try to identify, the refers to definite article, cat refers to the noun. If you know all this part of speech, that could be one of the ways for you to improve your grammar. So if you are well known with this, then you would be able to construct sentences without making mistakes. So from that, you have to learn. Now, in general, we do have about 89 grammar elements, if not mistaken, 89 to 100. From 89 to 100, it has been divided into 240 to 250, and from 250 to it has been divided into 360. Each element, each grammar has a few elements. Okay, if you refer to Raymond Murphy, Hubert Picha, my favorite Michael Swan grammar books, I'm sure you would get some ideas how to improve your grammar. You have to understand where I should use. Okay, for example, a rose is a beautiful flower. A rose is a beautiful flower. So you are describing a noun. So we use adjectives as well as nouns. So if you're not able to where you can put it those parts of speech in the particular sentence, I'm sure you can avoid grammar mistakes. I think I have answered your question, Rachel.
Yes, and we've also just had another student, Nurin. Welcome, Nurin. So as I mentioned just now, do not worry, you have not actually missed any session, because today's session is actually being recorded and will be posted in our Facebook. So you can actually go back and view it after the session. So right now, Nurin and the rest, we are still in our Q&A session. We still have a couple more minutes. Again, as I said, I'm not going to take too much of your time, right? I'm sure your parents will not be wanting you at the laptop for too long tonight. So we're just going to take another couple of minutes and see if there's any more questions, right? We have one more question here. All right, how about speaking, Mr. Isai? The student is asking in particular about speaking. It weighs a big 25% of the marks. How can I improve my English speaking if I don't have an English speaking environment? Now, this is a very good question, Rachel, I must say.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay.
All right. So am I allowed to answer the question now?
Yes, you are, Mr. Isai. Please,
okay.
please.
All right. It is a very good question. Basically, you must understand that we are not a native speakers. Okay. And we are practicing speaking English with a code switching where we use English in between. We will use one or two Malay words or one or two Tamil words or one or two Chinese words. So that is our nature and our culture and so on. If you try not to use those Malay words in their sentences, that shows that you try to speak English in a proper way. Okay, all right. Coming back to the weightage of 25%, right? Okay, basically SPM speaking test consists with lexical resources. Lexical resources refers to what types of vocabulary do you use and how do you tackle the questions. Okay, if you see sample videos on a YouTube, you can really look at it, the way how students spoke and then score the bands, band 1, band 2, band 3, band 4. Okay, so first thing is try not to make grammar errors when you speak. As I mentioned, if you speak like how you write, there are no grammar errors. Okay, all right. And then second one is use of appropriate words or phrases when you wanted to say something. Remember, you as a speaker, you cannot assume that the listener will have the same understanding at the same level. Both would be different. If the listener asks, what did you mean? What are you trying to say? It means that would be something wrong what you wanted to say. Probably your message is not clear. So it depends on both of you. How do you carry out the interaction by using appropriate words and so on? Okay. And I would say you don't really need English speaking environment in order to improve your English. Even you can practice speaking among your friends, all right, among your family members, and also wherever you go, and try to speak with them in English, and later on you will cultivate the interest and also awareness for others, and people will assume that, oh, Rachel prefers to speak in English, so they also will follow you, so that both of you can interact in English. So we don't really need the English speaking environment unless if you go to any overseas. At the moment you landed in Europe countries, you have to speak in English, and does it mean that you have to speak in an accent manner? Be yourself, be a Malaysian, speak like a Malaysian without making any grammar errors in your speaking. Yep, that's all.
Yeah, I remember Mr. Isai, when I was in school, our school teacher used to ask us to do this to improve our English. He said, take out the English newspaper. It was the New Straits Times in the millennial those days. Take it out and just read it out aloud.
Okay. that could be one of the ways, actually. Yeah. That is a very traditional method. Really traditional method. So I would like to share that this is how my father cultivate my interest in learning English, especially the vocabulary and so on. Back to what Miss Hemela said, my father bought newspapers, all right, and he requested us to cut that small report, and then he bought for me one book, you know, the 80 pages book, and then he requested me to put it in the alphabetic manner, A, B, C, D, and so on. So whatever words which I did not really understand, I put it in the A or B and find the meaning. So my father wanted me to use those words when I speak, but actually I did not. But now I'm using it. So probably that could be, you know, sometimes the traditional method is really useful for you to, you know, improve your English, especially in speaking as well as writing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We don't want to take too much time again, the students, and looks like there's no more questions. So, Mr. Isai, is there any last words you want to leave for our students? for the exam tomorrow, the English exam. It's a very important exam.
Okay. First of all, I would like to wish you good luck and all the best for your SPM English paper. All right. Read the questions carefully, understand the instruction, put it in a point what exactly you're supposed to do, and answer accordingly. Just nice. As simple as that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Isai. If you could just unshare your screen. I just got to leave the students with the last message before we leave.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, students, just before we leave, as I said, I'm not going to take too much of your time because I just want to share this important information with all of you. Okay, this is now the sections that we're going to have for tomorrow as well as Friday. Again, tomorrow we're going to have mathematics with Miss Azila, which is our lecturer in the mathematics department. And on Friday, we're going to have tips on how to do physics, right? So these are two very important subjects. So do join us, share the message with your student, with all your friends. Go on our Facebook and you'll be able to see the link. All right, so just very quick, I'm just going to take another few seconds of your time. This is where Perdana is. Okay, this is some of the facilities that we have in our university. Now we're actually based in Wisma Chase Perdana, so we're actually in KL. Again, some of our facilities that we have. This is our foundation program. So this is a very good pathway that you have after your SPM, Foundation in Science or Arts. And again, in Perdana, currently, we're actually offering a very good bursary. It's actually a 50 plus 50% bursary. It's 100% bursary for you when you study with Perdana. So again, this is my phone number. So don't worry too much about enrolling with us or joining us. Just screenshot this page, save my number at any point today, tonight, tomorrow morning before your exam. If you have any questions, not necessarily on your subject of English, even on any subject that you have, please do WhatsApp me and I will quickly share it or get the answers that you want from the respective tutor, whether it's your English or your maths or your physics or any other subjects that is taking place. So again, students, I'd like to wish all the best to all of y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. We really sincerely appreciate you. So my suggestion to all of you right now after this, go and have a cup of hot Milo or Horlicks or milk or a cup of tea. Put down your books. I think you need ample of rest before your exam tomorrow. Get up early tomorrow, do a little bit of exercise, feel fresh and going to work. Going for your exam. So again, Mr. Isai, and for the rest of you, honest, even my colleague, Ms. Farah Borhan is here. Thank you very much for joining us. We have truly enjoyed the session and we look forward to being with all of you again. Join us back. We hope to see all of you as join with your friends as well. Join us again tomorrow. All right. Good night, everyone. Keep safe. Right.
Right.
Bye-bye,
Thank you,
Farah.
Shamla.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
stay safe.
Bye.
Thank you, Isai. Bye.
Thank you.